Hello, hello.
What's up?
What's going on?
Not much.
What are you cracking open there?
Oh, just a soda.
Okay.
I slept weird on my back, and so I'm gonna be making some weird positions. Sorry.
No, thankfully it's an audio only.
Yeah.
You gonna be all right to record?
Oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'm a little in my head because I got to go to work at noon, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this.
What do you do for work? I think I've asked, but I forget. Maybe I don't.
Oh, it's actually a temp job. I'm working for the census right now, which I'm sure they do something like that in Canada.
Oh, I'm sure we have censuses here.
I think, but you'd be surprised how many Americans act like they've never heard of the concept. And then there's some boomers. It's really funny because they give us a list of things to tell people, and one of them is to tell them that it's in the Constitution. The Constitution says you are required to fill out the questionnaire. I mean, they get mad. They think I'm insulting them because they hide behind the Constitution for everything they don't want. And so they genuinely think I'm being a smartass to them. And no, it's in there.
Yeah, we have something like that. I think my wife just filled out one recently, or within the last year. It was mandatory.
Yeah, it's mandatory everywhere. That's the other thing, is that there's pretty much not a country where it's not a mandatory thing.
You're allowed to say it's annoying, but you're not allowed to say you don't have to. I think it's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. And you can ultimately refuse the census in the United States. It just takes 5 different times for you to reject it, to where we tell people, we're like, it's literally easier to just answer the questions. Especially when it's like a boomer who lives by himself. This thing takes 3 minutes to fill out if it's one person. And if you don't, a person's going to keep coming back 5 different times. But anyway.
Are you ready to rock and roll on this?
Yeah, here, let me pull the article up. This is an interesting one because I actually didn't know a lot of these things. I heard some of them, but some of these were completely foreign to me.
Yeah, I've heard a few of them. Did you watch any of the videos?
I didn't, but I have seen some of them, and I actually did. I didn't, but I had a friend do one of the challenges. So.
Okay, we'll get into that, yeah.
Okay, let's kick it.
Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it. So here's what you get. From Canada.
And Texas.
Ryan and
Zip. Welcome to the Worst of the Best podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and with me again is Zip from the No Redeeming Qualities podcast, and he is the boss, the CEO, the overlord of the Gamer Production Network. Welcome to the show.
And I'm here just in time. I just quit coughing. I started coughing as you were introducing me. I was like, what bad timing. But yeah, it's good to be here, and it's good to talk about one of these hot internet challenges, dumb internet challenges.
Yeah, so they're 10 dumb or dangerous. I guess dumb and dangerous can
dumbest and most dangerous.
Well, if it's dangerous, it's probably dumb. So dumb doesn't have to be dangerous, but I think if you're dangerous, you can also default that it's dumb as well.
Yes, it's possible to be either, but you could definitely be both.
Yeah. Because the whole point of an internet challenge is you don't have to do it. There's no requirement.
For every ice bucket challenge, there's 20 set yourself on fire for Mother's Day kind of thing.
Now, yeah, speaking of the ice bucket challenge, did you participate in that challenge when it came out 7 years ago, whatever it was, 5 years ago?
I don't think I did. And in retrospect, I wish I could tell you, I would remember being hit with a bucket of ice water. I wish I had, because that actually turned out to be an actually really good challenge, because it apparently raised an astronomical amount of money for ALS research, and also kind of helped everybody understand ALS better than what they did. You know, we all just thought it was Lou Gehrig's disease.
This episode is about dumb and dangerous challenges, and we're going to pick the worst one out of the 10. But before we get to that, yeah, the Ice Bucket Challenge was one of those positive ones. It was actually, I know there's always naysayers, and people are so negative. I remember when the challenge was happening, I was like, I did it with my son. We had fun together. Worst case scenario, we just had a little bit of fun together. And then we challenged somebody else to dump ice and water on you. It's harmless. You're not going to get hurt by it.
I mean, unless you have like a severe heart condition and it's going to trigger a heart attack, I can't see how being covered in ice water is going to.
Well, people do that polar bear swim all the time.
They die doing it.
Yeah, you should know your body before you put yourself into anything. Before you become extremely cold for no reason other than just having fun.
It's not even necessarily the cold. It's the going from not cold to extremely cold. Your heart, not crazy about that.
No, it wants to fight the cold very quickly.
These challenges are hella dumb.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't peek the list beforehand, and I heard of some of these, and some of these I'm glad they're real, so I could go watch the videos after this.
Well, you're a braver man than me. So as we go through each challenge, we will say to our listeners, you can Google these very easily. So when we say what the challenge is, there is a YouTube video and or whatever type of videos and or pictures out there of people doing these challenges, and unfortunately some of the damage done to their bodies after the challenge. I can't look at any of it. So I have not watched any of the videos, but we'll at least verbalize it and you'll get the idea of what's going on.
We could do like a reenactment.
No, we will not.
And then I'll start at number 10, the very creatively named Fire Challenge. So the Fire Challenge was an internet fad where people, this is so stupid. Like you started, I don't know how you get stupider than this, but the Fire Challenge was an internet fad where people poured a flammable liquid over parts of their body and set it on fire. They were supposed to quickly put it out, but naturally such a feat landed several children in the hospital with second and third degree burns. One 12-year-old girl was engulfed in flames when the rubbing alcohol she smeared over herself got out of control, possibly due to flammable perfume she was wearing. Aside from the grave bodily harm the challenge can inflict on those who attempt it, it has also landed at least one woman in jail for contributing to the delinquency of a minor when she helped her son film his own fire challenge.
Oh, my.
So you helped your son set himself on fire and filmed it for him. Oh. But you see, the thing with the ice bucket challenge, the key is it has to be something everyone can do. Everybody can put ice bucket on themselves. It's got to be like uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be covered in ice water.
No.
But it can't be like devastatingly dangerous. It also has to have a positive outcome connection, meaning you donated to ALS at the end of it. So when the fire challenge comes along, I don't know what the purpose is. I get it. I get what you're trying to do. Set it on fire so you can put it back out. Did you never do this, Ryan, growing up?
The closest I ever came to doing this, and for those in my age group might remember this in the 80s, we used to take lighters and we'd cup our hand like this. I know you can't, people listening, you can't see, but you kind of cup your hand where you have an opening in the top of your hand and your hand's made into a fist, and we would pour lighter fluid from the lighter, like just squeeze the lighter into the cup of the hand, and then we'd light that fluid on fire and it'd go poof in your hand.
Yes.
So that is the closest I would ever come to this. We do it all the time. Yeah, it was hot. It burnt for a little bit. And there'd be times you open your hand, it's still enough gas on your hand that it would be there for a little bit. So that was definitely like the early genesis of this said challenge. There was no video cameras back then, or at least no cell phone cameras. Nobody ever filmed it. We recognized as a kid, like, hey, we're not going to put gasoline from the car on our hand. It was just like a little bit of lighter fluid.
That was so. Like when I was a teenager, hairspray had actually gone out. Like hairspray was not only not in style anymore, I don't even think it was legal anymore, but we had Axe body spray. You could cover your hand in Axe body spray and set it on fire, and it would do that, where it would be on fire and then the alcohol would put itself out.
Right.
So I have seen people do this challenge because we used to do that at the bus stop. We would set our hands on fire with Axe body spray.
Say anyone that uses Axe body spray should just be put on fire.
I'll be honest. I keep a bottle of it for special occasions because I don't know how cologne works. Spending $20 on a bottle of cologne or $1,000, it might as well be the same to me. So I might as well get Axe body spray and call it a day.
I don't want to smell anyone, good or bad.
See, but that's the problem. Is you say I don't need it. I don't have BO. It's because you don't smell yourself.
No, you do smell your. No, I hate that. You do smell yourself. That's a bunch of baloney.
That is anytime they have the Febreze commercials where they talk about, are you nose blind? I'm like, don't do this to me commercial, because that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared I'm nose blind and I stink and nobody's like everyone's polite. And like I'm scared about that with like my house. I've got like the stinky house. People come in and they're just, oh, I don't want to hang out there. That's the smelly house. I want to believe you could smell it.
Well, speaking of noses,
yeah.
There, check out this segue.
Oh, wow, yeah. Good segue right there.
Well, I'm nothing but a professional podcaster. Number 9 is the condom snorting challenge. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like.
See, this is how you ended up with 6 kids, is because you've been snorting the condoms this whole time.
Oh, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to put them.
Yeah, you're just. These damn, you calling Trojan? These damn things don't work.
Yeah, honey, I don't get it. Why are we pregnant again? I was able to put the condom through my nasal cavity.
We're pregnant again.
Yes, we're pregnant again. We are. I'm pregnant. She's pregnant. We're pregnant together.
So the condom snorting challenge
is exactly what it sounds like. You snort an extended condom through your nose. So the idea is that it will come out the back of the nasal cavity, where it can be pulled out of your mouth. Now you
okay. Now you're running into things that make me uncomfortable. It's that sensation of like. Okay.
Have you ever watched those talent shows, America's Got Talent, or
yeah?
And you always have the weird ones that will come on every now and then, and this has been done before. They'll use like a wet noodle, maybe because it's thin, or string. It's that same idea. It grosses me out. But I guess what makes the condom one a little bit more challenging for people who are, if a wet noodle's not enough, you can upgrade it to the condom because of its texture. People apparently think this is funny. I think it's particularly gross because it's plastic, it's stretchy, and it has like chemicals on the condom itself. One person did have to have surgery to get it removed.
Yeah, I did. It was something to do with the lubricants on the condom got in their sinuses or something, and you're just like...
He had months. He was months of illness. Oh.
How do you explain that to the doctor and not look gay? Like, somehow the condom ended up in your nose, so...
It just smelled so good. It was cherry flavored. Because the wet noodle one that I've seen on TV or whatever, that grosses me out. I can't imagine why. I just don't understand how, and this goes for all these challenges, but I mean, I have kids like we've mentioned. I just really hope my kids, hey, Dad, check what I can do. I would have failed as a parent. If any of my kids think any of these challenges are worth doing, or...
They could be doing these challenges. A lot of them are teenagers. You don't know what they're doing all the time.
That's true.
And you also have to just accept the fact, especially boys, like a teenage boy is going to do something stupid. Not really an if, it's more of a when. I don't know, though. Canadian kids are probably much more well-behaved.
We have our issues, too, and I
don't know if that's actual thing or not, but...
But yeah, there you go. Number 9... snorting a condom through your nasal cavity out your mouth.
Number 8 is really gross and grosses me out. And I almost watched the video and I decided not to because this is actually my weakness. Eating contests.
Right.
Like extreme fullness it's like super off-putting to me. This is the banana Sprite challenge. And it's based on the extremely unscientific claim that your body cannot digest bananas and Sprite at the same time. The claim is that since your body cannot digest these two substances together, it will reject both, causing you to vomit. There are several YouTube videos that we don't recommend watching of people attempting the challenge and then vomiting everything back up. Now, here's the catch. There is nothing chemically reactive about Sprites and bananas. It's a volume thing. By the time you get 2 full bananas and a full liter of Sprite into your stomach, you're not going to feel good and you're going to probably throw it up.
That's right. It's just gross, and I agree. I had a kidney stone back in 2018. I was actually sailing. I was in Pearl Harbor.
The worst thing that ever happened in Pearl Harbor was that kidney stone.
Yeah, nothing else. Nothing
bad ever happened in Pearl Harbor.
There was a weird museum there about some sort of ships or whatever. But other than that,
what's the ship doing in the water? Get it out.
Yeah, I don't understand. They had a lot of junk ships in the water for some reason. But,
oh God, yeah.
But the worst thing that ever happened in Pearl Harbor was my kidney stone. I've had them before, so I know when one's coming, and usually I can just flush them out. Right, I'll just drink water, and it just. So I was on duty that day. So I woke up, it was 5 a.m, and I was on duty. And I was like, oh man, I got a kidney stone. I can't believe it. Like, I'm a week from going home. I've got a kidney stone. I'm on duty today. And of all mornings, they're not going to believe that I have a kidney stone because I have duty, right? Like, they're not going to believe the two are hand in hand. So I started just drinking water inside the ship before going up to do my watch. And I drank, and I drank, and I drank. But I drank so much that I vomited. It was just water. Water itself is not a chemical reaction. However, I drowned myself in a sense because I drank so much water that it caused myself to get nauseous and vomit.
Did you pee out the kidney stone, though?
Actually, I had to go to the base hospital. I was unable to do my duty watch as I passed it in the hospital with morphine. Yeah.
I bet you're the guy that everyone would have believed you if you told him you had a kidney stone and you were on duty, though. It's always the guy who worries the most about nobody believing that he's actually sick. It's always him who's the one who has to worry the least. I got to say, I've known people who would skip out on duty for much, much less than a kidney stone. So
I think
power to you.
I think what gave it away was I was up on the brow. I was literally curled on the ball ball on the deck, and I was like, "This is embarrassing." I'm embarrassed. I was so embarrassed by the pain that
But it would also be one of those things where you would hope that your fellow sailors weren't so cruel that they're just like, "Well, he's on duty. He's clearly dying of something, but he's on duty, so we can't help him."
Yeah. I'm saying to the officer, officer of the day, I'm like, "I'm sorry, I literally cannot stand right now. The pain is so like, I'd rather do this duty watch than go to the hospital."
Yeah. And duty's. Is it a 24-hour duty?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, it's boring, but life could be worse.
I would do 7 days of duty than having kidney stone pain out there. Oh, man. Okay.
All right, so what's next?
Well, speaking of pain, salt and ice challenge. This is insane. So the salt and ice challenge is obviously...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous internet phenomenon where people, including kids, have been putting salt and ice together on their bodies. Now, this is legit chemical reaction. Mixing salt and ice induces frostbite, and the challenge involves seeing how long you can withstand keeping it on your body. And you can go on the internet, and yes, there are pictures there and videos of people suffering second and third degree burns. So unfortunately, and probably because of the ease of acquiring the ingredients for the challenge, several young children have been rushed to the emergency room with severe burns on their arms after giving themselves frostbite. One child even said that he left it on for so long because it didn't even hurt when they were burning themselves.
That's... have you ever had frostbite?
On what degree? Yes. I think everyone almost has. Have you had any kind of winter where your skin is exposed? You can have, just like being burnt, there's different degrees of frostbite.
Okay. So you can have frostbite and then it just heals.
Yeah.
You don't have to have your toes amputated just because you get it, right?
Right.
Frostbite's not a very common affliction in my part of the world.
Right.
I mean, it can happen because we have freezing weather. I think if you walked into a Texas hospital with frostbite, they'd assume you were like a refrigerator repairman or something.
Or you did the challenge.
Or you were... they'd just be like, oh, salt and ice challenge. Usually they're children.
So just this last winter, for our Canadian listeners, it was minus 25 here in Quebec when I was out in the field with the recruits.
Minus 25 Celsius?
Yeah, so that was minus 13 Fahrenheit for you Americans.
I guess I don't understand how negative Celsius works.
Yeah, so negative 20, so under 25 degrees under freezing, which is minus 13 Fahrenheit for U.S. listeners. Does that make sense to you, minus 13? Have you ever experienced minus 13 Fahrenheit?
I have never experienced minus 13. The closest I've gotten was 6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the lowest I've gotten.
So we were out on the range, and that was the base temperature, and it was a little bit windy. I was covered everywhere, but the only thing exposed was just under my eyes, my high cheekbones. I took off my gloves, and I touched my cheek, and it was really creepy because I was touching my cheek, and it felt like frozen Jell-O, but I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel my cheek as my finger touched it. So that's probably the closest. I was getting a little bit nervous.
What do the other guys do?
Nobody else got it, but I mean, some people just don't get affected the way other people do. The one guy wasn't even wearing a headdress. He was totally exposing his face, but my face was just literally getting I couldn't feel my cheekbone. It kind of scared me a little bit. I was a little bit nervous, but...
Yeah, your body's freezing.
Yes.
I would be like Mr. Freeze if I had to go up there with you. Give me the suit and don't...
Oh, it just seems like yesterday we were out there in the winter, and the winter months are coming again. Ugh.
I have a job right now where I have to walk around in East Texas in August. It's just our absolute... When people talk about stereotypically bad Texas weather, this is the time of year.
Okay.
And so I would love a little frostbite right now. Not really, though.
No.
It sounds really painful.
I'd still rather deal with the heat than the cold. I'm still that way.
At least when you're excessively cold and you die, you just kind of go to sleep.
Right.
When you die of heat-related stuff, you kind of turn into a crazy person and vomit on yourself, and then you talk to Coyote God, and heat exhaustion is both suck.
I can't
both
wait to go.
Terrible days.
I can't wait to go back to British Columbia, Victoria, British Columbia, and back to the moderate.
Nice
year-round,
nice temperate.
Oh.
It doesn't even barely snow there, does it?
If we get more than a week of snow, we panic.
Yeah. The only reason I remember that is a couple of years ago they did the Winter Olympics in Vancouver.
Right.
And they were talking about, they don't have a lot of snow. I said, what do you mean there's not a lot of snow? It's Canada. It's the Winter Olympics. You pick the one part of Canada that didn't have snow.
That's exactly what they did.
Winter Olympics. And they did that in Sochi, too.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, you picked a part of Russia and Canada. You picked the two parts of the coldest freaking countries.
I know.
Somehow snow, the most essential part of your sport. Anyway, number 6, the cinnamon challenge. I might have done this one. But the cinnamon challenge is to eat a tablespoon of cinnamon in 60 seconds without drinking anything. It sounds easy, but it's actually extremely hard and dangerous. The problem isn't actually eating and digesting the cinnamon itself, which is, after all, just a common spice. The problem is that trying to eat that much cinnamon will trigger a gag reflex, which can inadvertently inhale cinnamon dust. Cinnamon dust can be extremely harmful to lungs, meaning it can burn or corrode tissue.
Wow.
It's not an issue with your stomach, but getting that kind of compound in your lungs can be damaging. The cellulose matrix of cinnamon also cannot be metabolized, which means getting it out of your lungs can be a nightmare.
Oh, wow.
Doing the challenge one time probably won't give you cinnamon lung, but it can trigger an asthma attack, which can be fatal in some people. Wow, that took a turn.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that one was so dangerous.
People have died doing this one.
That's crazy. This is actually one that is funny to watch. Because you think, it's a spoon of cinnamon. You put it in and
Yeah, it tastes fine, so you're not gagging because of the taste. It's a very strong amount of cinnamon in your mouth. And I've seen, this is the one video so far, this is number 6, where I actually have seen a video of this because it's not really vomit-inducing. People just cough, and when they cough, so they try to swallow it, and right away they're
and then they're coughing out cinnamon, which is always silly looking.
And then that's about it. So probably 99 times out of 100, people try to swallow it, but your throat's like, what are you doing? You're just swallowing dust. I can't do that. So your body automatically reacts and coughs it out, and life goes on. If you're a good swallower, you probably get some down there where it doesn't belong, and that's the danger. So far, this is the least gross and least dangerous in my books.
I don't know. It involves Kylie Jenner, so.
No, I meant the one you just did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the next one. I was like, least dangerous, sure. Least gross, I don't know.
So, yeah, speaking of Kylie, so number 5 is the Kylie. And I've seen pictures of this, and this is so gross. We'll talk about it. So this is the Kylie Jenner challenge. Now, as anyone that is under 70 might know, Kylie Jenner is a reality TV star known for her plump lips, among other things that are plump. Some teens have taken to temporarily enlarging their own lips by doing this Kylie Jenner challenge, in which they put their lips and mouths inside a container, and then they suck the air out to create a vacuum. The lack of air pressure inside the container caused by the sucking makes their lips temporarily plump, creating this short-term appearance of large lips. Not only does it look ridiculous, but it's painful, damaging, and it can cause permanent damage. The swelling expands blood vessels and could tear the sensitive skin of the lips and make them bleed. And some who have attempted the challenge sucked for so long the air of that vacuum that stitches were needed to repair the damage to their inflated lips.
When I taught, I had students do this. I had a girl do this. I didn't see it happen in school, but I saw pictures of it, and it was pretty hilarious. If I had known the nature of what it was, I might have made a bigger deal about it, but at the time, I just thought it was funny. This is gross. You don't have any daughters that are like old enough to be influenced by Kylie Jenner yet,
No,
are they?
My only daughter, she's 6. And
you only have one?
Yeah, one daughter.
5 boys?
5 boys, 1 girl. Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. I thought there was a couple more girls in there. At least you've got the one.
Yeah.
Because I think having at least one girl, because that's how we were. It was 3 boys and 1 girl, and just having one girl does wonders for calming the other boys down. But anyway.
Oh yeah, I agree.
She's not at the age yet where she's going to want her lips to look like Kylie Jenner.
I have seen the picture, so when this was a thing, I had seen a picture inadvertently. I didn't look for it, but it's one of those things that comes up in your feed. It's so gross. And I will say this, and if you're a listener of the show and you're female who's done lip collagen injections or whatever, don't do that. I've never looked at a woman's lips who is noticeably done and said to myself, oh boy, I'm telling you, that is a woman.
Big, puffy, baboon-ass lips. Just don't do it for me.
Yeah, if it's natural, it's natural. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
not even the color.
And I have big lips.
Not even Yeah, not even the color, just the puffy. Because it looks like you just ate a bee and it stung you in the mouth. That's kind of the.
But you can always tell. You can always tell when it's fake. And the fake lip, I don't know why it just looks bad. Now, if there's other things that you want to enhance, knock your socks off. But lips, that's where.
Can you be more specific?
Well, let you
eyebrows.
No, anything below the neck. You want to.
Okay. Some good collarbone action. Okay.
You want to wear shoulder pads? Knock your socks off. Yeah.
But it's Kylie Jenner. Might not even know who Kylie Jenner is. Is she one of the Kardashians?
Is she a Kardashian? Yeah, Bruce Jenner's daughter.
Bruce Jenner's okay.
Oh, sorry. What's her name? Caitlyn.
Caitlyn Jenner. The whole thing is a freaking mess.
Let me see what she looks like. Oh wow. Okay. So she's quite dolled up, but her lips don't look that big. Really, I mean.
Maybe she toned them down.
She might have. They look natural. I'm sure she's had some injections, but they don't look too big. So I'm wondering why people would need to overdo it. But she has had, some pictures here. You can tell she's had some lip work done. Okay. And other stuff done too. Bless her heart. You ready for the next one?
All right. Yep. So next is the hot pepper challenge. This is actually one that is funny to watch.
Yeah.
While hot pepper eating competitions are not uncommon, some YouTubers have their own private challenges to see if they could down some of the hottest peppers in the world. Monkey see, monkey do, unfortunately, applies to middle schoolers who wanted to test their own pepper eating medal during their school lunch. A middle schooler brought in a Carolina Reaper pepper to school to attempt the challenge with their friends. Oh, my God. Eating such hot pepper straight, though, can result in vomiting, breathing problems, and other complications, which is exactly what happened to the 30 middle schoolers who tried to down those peppers in the cafeteria. The principal had to call emergency services. That sucks. That principal, he must have thought there was like food poisoning or something.
Right, yeah.
Just like another principal the very next day when 40 students put ghost peppers in their lunches.
Oh, my gosh.
That reads like another school and not the same school. Because that's
right. It's two different schools, yeah.
That sounds like two different schools. Okay.
I would almost think if you're the principal or in charge of this, you almost think it's like a chemical attack in the lunchroom.
Yeah. There's a handful of like red alerts for a principal, and I think a whole bunch of kids getting sick at the same time is probably one of them. In another challenge at a restaurant, one man ate a ghost pepper topped burger and began vomiting uncontrollably.
Oh.
It caused Bohav's syndrome, Boerhaav's syndrome, a tear in his esophagus that led to a collapsed lung.
Wow.
The condition is potentially fatal and landed him in a hospital for almost a month. So speaking of that challenge, in Houston, my friend came and visited, and he's like a total spice junkie. And there's some burger in Houston that was like that's like super spicy, wanted to try. And I don't do spicy food. So I was like, I'm going to go do that with you. I'll go watch you do that. And he had decided to eat this burger. It was a cheeseburger covered in, I think, the Carolina Reaper peppers or something like that.
Oh, wow.
He had to sign a waiver. And then it took like 45 minutes because the cook has to wear a respirator. They have to completely desanitize the entire stove.
What?
So they can't cook anything else around it because it's so spicy. So they have to wait for all the orders to be done and then hold up everything to cook your burger and then desanitize it. And so they bring this burger out. And I mean, it was like, if you ever been around like CS gas, tear gas, or just being in the presence, just being in the presence of it, you can kind of smell it.
Yeah.
That was what it was like in this restaurant. And he was he ate about half of it. He sweat. He's like, oh man, this is real hot. I kid you not. He talked me into it. I took one bite of one piece of bacon that we pulled off the burger, and I was dry heaving in the bushes of this restaurant.
Oh, wow.
That is how unimaginably spicy those burgers are. So the idea of 30 kids trying to eat that pepper, and that just shows you middle school mentality. School lunch is like 25 minutes.
What's the name of that pepper that he had?
The Carolina Reaper. So the kids had the Carolina Reaper. My friend, his burger was either covered in Carolina Reaper peppers or ghost peppers, one of the two.
Okay.
I can look the restaurant up. I remember it.
I'm not a big spicy guy, but I hate it when people brag about how much Scoville scale peppers they can eat. Well, that's the heat index of their peppers, and they can eat these. Congratulations. Your DNA has allowed you to eat something spicy, but it's this weird manhood chest thumping bragging right that you can eat something spicy. I never understood that.
It's the exact same part of your brain. And this just sounds like a joke. This isn't a joke. The people who like to be like whipped during sex and stuff like that, it's literally the same parts of their brain are activated. You're catering to the same lizard portion of your brain, whether or not you're doing S&M or eating chili peppers.
Yeah,
it's the whole,
because it's causing them pain and it's uncomfortable, but they're finding pleasure.
They find pleasure in the discomfort. I'm the exact opposite. I find pleasure in pleasure.
Me too.
And
well, the Carolina Reaper has a Scoville of 1,570,000.
This menu says that the burger that my friend ate, the one that made me gag, it refers to it as a suicide pepper.
Yeah, it says here, man eats world's hottest chili pepper and ends up in hospital. It's the Carolina Reaper. That's the one we did.
Okay, it's a Carolina Reaper.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I can tell you, that thing was hot.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I'm the same way. I don't do spicy food. Like, I like a little bit of tang and some stuff, just a little bit.
I like spicy food, but I don't like to kill myself in the process.
Yeah, somewhere, yeah. My dad was like that with chili, where I think what he would do is it was so the kids would eat it. I think that was why he would make it so freaking spicy. But the hot pepper challenge, if you watch the videos, it's these like dainty.
Yeah, of course.
It's these like dainty girls, these like dainty YouTube girls that are like, we're going to eat a Carolina pepper. And I'm like, well, I might as well just like tear gas you. That's
essentially what's happening.
That's essentially what you're doing to yourself. I might as well just shoot the tear gas down your throat.
It's the same pleasure.
They're like, crying and stuff. And I'm like, what did you think was going to happen? There's a YouTube channel, a guy named Coyote Peterson, who just lets animals bite him.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes really bad. He got like an alligator snapping turtle attached to his head. And I'm like, what did you think was going to happen? Well, it's called a snapping turtle.
Yeah, if you swim with the sharks, you're going to get bit.
The most distinguishing thing about this turtle is how hard it snaps.
Let's put my hand on it and see what happens.
Yeah, let me let it snap me. Anyway, what's the next challenge?
This one doesn't cause vomiting or pain. This is the 24-hour fort challenge. It's where someone creates a fort, quote unquote, in a large store where they can hide out for 24 hours, avoiding security and ultimately spending the night until the opening the next day. Now, the challenge does seem rather harmless to those who participate, so there are hundreds of posts on YouTube from those who have accepted this challenge. So what they do is they hide out in the store after it closes, but this is actually trespassing. Go figure. The store is closed and you're inside.
It's also just called vagrancy and homelessness.
Yeah. So it does lead to criminal charges to those who have undertaken it. This was filmed on YouTube. People did this. Unfortunately, young kids did this as well, and their poor parents didn't know where the kids were because they reported them missing.
It's also like when you're a kid and you think I don't know, Ryan, did you ever do this where I think it might be harder to do now in the era of smartphones, but you'd be like, oh, I'm staying at Tom's house tonight. Yes. And then Tom tells his parents, I'm staying at Zip's house. And then and did you ever do that?
My mom listens to this show. So for the record, I was always where I said I was.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my mom's dead, so I can spill all the beans.
When my mom passes away, this
do a whole episode.
This podcast will change drastically. This podcast will change drastically.
No, but what I was getting at is you realize when you're like 14 and you do that, you're like, oh, this is awesome, and then you get to like 10:30 at night, and you're like, I have nowhere to go, and you have to sleep in the park, and you're just, oh, this was a terrible idea. That's how it feels with Walmart, where you're just like, oh, I'm stuck in a Walmart all night now.
I can't handle 1 hour in Costco or IKEA. I can't imagine creating a fort and staying there for 20.
That's the one to do this at.
I guess
Get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, that's true. No, you have to build a fort. You have to build a fort.
You have to build a fort. Because I guess what I'm describing is just breaking and living and squatting.
What was that? Career Opportunities? Is that the name of that movie? Where the buddy was working as a 1980s John Hughes film? I think that's what it was. It had a young Jennifer Connelly in it. And it was this guy, he worked at this Walmart or Walgreens or something, and it was overnight work. He did just that. He was the janitor there, and he spent the whole day just playing with everything in the store. Do
you ever watch King of the Hill? Chuck Mangione?
No, I don't know.
They thought he's dead. He's been hiding it. He'd been living in a Megalomart, which is their version of Walmart.
Okay.
And they thought he was like a famous sax player, and he was missing, and he's been hiding in a Walmart.
There you go. But, challenge accepted.
And then also Chuck Mangione is a real man, and I had no idea about that. I thought he was a King of the Hill character.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And he's actually like a trumpet player. But anyway, next on the list, number 2. Number 1 is actually the worst. So I will say that number 1 and number 2 have lined up quite well.
Okay.
But number 2 is the hot coil challenge.
Okay.
So thanks to the power of the internet, anyone can create any kind of challenge they want, no matter how dangerous or dumb. A pair of YouTubers created the hot coil challenge. where they turn on their stove and press their forearm over the red-hot coals to withstand the burn as long as they can.
Jeez.
Naturally, the member of the pair that pressed his arm to the hot coils gave himself third-degree burns, which he showed off on an expletive-ridden video.
Sure, yeah.
This challenge was so absurd that it was restricted on YouTube for viewers over 18. And perhaps because of its obvious danger and consequences, the challenge has fortunately failed to gain traction among teenagers seeking to permanently disfigure themselves. Still, there are always people willing to do anything for views, and a few copycats exist. So, yeah, I think we have reached the apex of the stupidity in that there is really no ambiguity as to what will happen if you burn yourself. Because at least with the chili pepper, like, there's a reason we enjoy watching people eat chili peppers, because it's funny to watch somebody go like, my mouth, But, like, you're just burning the skin off of your body.
Oh, it's insane.
You're just touching a hot coal. Like, that's what you teach children to do, is you go up and put their hand on the slightly hot coal to go, this is really hot. Never touch it. You know?
That's just insane to me. Why are people... Anyways, yeah, well, this happened.
You're a father and I'm not. I just can't even imagine what a parent would think finding out a kid did this.
So number one, this one I haven't heard of the hot coil challenge for number two. I've never heard of it, but sure, just like they're saying, if you can think of it, someone's going to think of it. But number one I have heard of before. This is called the Blue Whale Challenge. To pick the worst, the criteria in my books was something that you would want to do the least. So of all these challenges, you have to, which one of them would you just in no way, shape, or form would you want to attempt? So you'll try all the other ones at some degree before you do this one.
It's almost so obviously this one that we should probably pick what our second worst.
Sure. So I'll get into number one. So number one is an obvious.
So what is number one?
So number one is the Blue Whale Challenge. Now, the most horrible of internet challenges was perhaps this challenge. It was allegedly the brainchild of Philip Budikin, who pled guilty to creating the challenge in 2017. His challenge consisted of inciting those he called biological wastes to ultimately commit suicide.
That was my nickname in high school.
Biological waste?
Bio waste.
Are you serious?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I was gonna say that's a great one. Hey, bio waste, how you doing?
Bio waste.
Well, that would be a sign of bullying, I think, or cyberbullying. Yeah. Nope. You swallowed some cinnamon there. You all right?
Sorry, I was thinking about Biohazard is actually the name of my thrash metal band.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that actually would be, that'd be a good name for biological waste. All right, so this challenge involved getting those who accepted to do 50 days of increasingly horrifying self-harming activities that culminated in suicide. And it also had those who participated delete all evidence of the Blue Whale Challenge from their computers before committing
this
the final
isn't necessarily
act.
A challenge more than it's a crime.
Yeah, so Budikin was caught after one of his participants gave up near the last stages of the challenge and told the police. He was held on charges of inciting 16 teenage girls to commit suicide and ultimately found guilty on 2 counts. Unfortunately, he is believed to be only one of many administrators of the challenge. And due to the challenge's nature, it is difficult to verify exactly how much of it is actually taking place and how much of it is just an internet rumor. So there's a little bit of, I would say conspiracy theory, but it's like it's hard to trace how many of these kids are just messed up, unfortunately, and how much of it's really...
But the fact that the courts got involved shows you that something happened.
Yeah, so at least 2 American...
At least something,
Yeah, 2 American teenagers were suspected of being linked to it. So there's enough evidence that it exists somehow in some way. Now, you could argue maybe the child was already suicidal, stumbled across this challenge.
And people always get surprised with challenges like these. I guess they just don't realize that people are like sick enough that they kind of, I don't want to say fall for this, but can be manipulated this way. Yeah, I don't think that this guy is like targeting healthy, normal people. Normal in the sense of a normal mindset.
Mental health. And normal, they're in the green.
He's targeting already weakened, sick people and pushing that, which makes it worse.
Yeah, it's a predator. You're being a suicide predator in a sense.
I almost wish they would have not added that one because it's not even necessarily a challenge. It's
The reason why I think it's on the list is because it is part of that social media internet challenge. Without the internet and without YouTube and all these other things, this is all social media influence challenges. These are all things because of the internet, we have these challenges. Yeah.
Now, this is the end of the list. And so I think a notable somebody missing from the list is the Tide Pod Challenge.
Ah, right. Fair enough. Okay.
I think technically the Tide Pod Challenge wasn't real.
Was it a challenge or was it just a...
Here's how I think it happened. It was one of those like life imitating art things. It was a meme of people making fun of Generation Z.
Right.
Or it was originally making fun of millennials, but finally we're getting to the point for the 10,000th time that the youngest millennials are in their mid-20s now and the oldest millennials are 40. So then the joke shifted to Gen Z. It was that they're so stupid that they eat Tide Pods. They have the Tide Pod Challenge.
Right.
So it was fake. It was made up to make fun of them. But I think some of them ended up either thinking it was real and did it, which only proves the point of the people making fun of you, or turned it into one. I guess not understand. Now, I'll give it to them. Does it look like candy? Yes. It looks like the most delicious piece of Willy Wonka candy you would ever find. Oh, look at these crazy colors, and it's got gel in it. It's squishy. What could this? Oh, it's got to taste like fruit. And then you're like, oh my God, soap. I do want to tell the kids that. I'm like, it's soap, dog. You're eating soap. There is no mystery. But then again, what's the difference of me enjoying watching somebody eat a chili pepper and go, versus somebody eating soap and going, I got soap in my mouth.
Well, yeah, that's a good point about the Tide Pod Challenge, about it not insulting, but kind of making fun of the young generation. And I think that's a result of these videos and these challenges that we just talked about, that people like you and I we could watch 1,000 of these videos and we would never, I would imagine, Zip, you're like me, you would never be like, you know what, I'm going to give that a whirl. And I'm not influenced by this. None of this influences me. My behavior doesn't change because I see somebody do something. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do that now. My brain doesn't work that way. But unfortunately,
maybe if I was drunk and there was a lot of people watching, possibly.
Yeah,
but no, I don't just watch the YouTube video and go, I want to eat cinnamon.
Right.
Like, I'm going to ask my husband to ruin his afternoon and film me throwing up from eating cinnamon so I can put it on YouTube. It's like, that's...
So we're going to kind of remove the blue whale challenge because I think you and I both would obviously say neither one of us would increasingly bodily harm ourselves for 50 days to ultimately commit suicide. I think it's an obvious worst pick out of these challenges. So
it's a hard sell. That's a hard sell.
So let's just assume that you and I are not even anywhere, shape, or form suicidal or want to self-harm ourselves in general for 50 days.
Which of these challenges would we do?
Well, okay. I would do none of them. I would do none of them. But if you put a gun to my head, or your family dies unless you do 8 of these 9, So which one? So basically,
I got you.
So which one is the one?
Let me through the list again.
Yeah, we'll start at the top. So let's go. We've got the fire challenge. This is where you put flammable
Okay, so
liquid
fire challenge I've actually kind of done because I've put like rubbing alcohol in myself. When I was a science teacher, I used to put rubbing alcohol on the table and just set it on fire, and then because it just burns out. And the kids thought that was great. And then the AP walked in when I was doing it and wasn't crazy. So that's kind of whatever. The condom snorting challenge, the banana Sprite challenge,
right?
Salt and ice, cinnamon challenge, the lip challenge, hot peppers, the 24-hour forts, and the hot coil. So I know for me, the two that it gets narrowed down to are hot coil and the salt and ice. Everything else might hurt,
right?
But none of this is going to cause damage.
Now, you could also argue, because that is what it is, it's a challenge, so you can puss out a little bit, meaning once the hot coil gets hot, I'm just lifting my arm off. Like, okay, too hot.
Then in that case, it's going to be the salt and ice because I don't want to get a frostbite at all.
Okay, fair enough.
It sounds miserable.
That's kind of how I looked at each of these, because each of these are, you attempt it and how far can you go. So with the hot coil one, sure, I'll put my arm on a stove, but once it gets too hot, I'm like, okay, it's too hot, I'm done. Keeping those things in mind, the one I wouldn't even be able to attempt. I've already done the fire challenge. Yeah, I put lighter fluid in my hand, lit on fire, and it goes away. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to douse myself in gasoline. That's just being a suicide flame guy. All these challenges are designed not to kill the ones that we have remaining. So the idea is, it's like you try it, how far did you get, and you don't have to cover yourself in flammable liquid to do the challenge. The one that I would do the least is the condom one.
Yeah.
It would be such a non-attempt. I would have such a, like, I could put salt and ice on my arm, like on a square inch or whatever. Sure, it's going to hurt. A cinnamon challenge, I could try it. Even the lip challenge, I would do it in such a way that my lips did puff up and not where I damage them, obviously.
What I'm not getting about the condom and the nose challenge.
Oh, I couldn't.
The whole thing I don't want to do, because I don't even want to do a noodle or whatever in my nose. I don't like anything in. There's one thing I like going up my nose, and that's it. But
stop it. So
no. But with the condom, the ring at the bottom of the condom.
Okay. Yeah. Ugh.
Even if you stretch the whole thing out, it's like a ring because it keeps it in place. Where's that going in my nose? That's the part that seems like really uncomfortable, like drastically uncomfortable.
There's a video of a guy doing it. I'm not going to watch it. I assume he accomplished it.
I can't watch it either.
Of these, you could almost argue, that's the challenge I probably couldn't do. I probably just wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh, you don't think you could physically? No. I would. I think I could, but I think I'd be very mad.
Like, you put a gun to my head, like, you have 1 hour to get this condom through your nasal cavity out your mouth. I'd be like, I can't. Can I burn myself? I'll burn myself. I can't. I think it's legitimately a challenge that not only do I find disgusting and gross and hard, I don't know if, So it's definitely the worst of these challenges in my books. That's my pick. There you go. That was fun.
And I was just thinking about those monks in the Vietnam War. If YouTube was around then, man, they'd be. You click the bell, and they're. Anyway.
Yeah, people.
Yeah, that's internet challenges.
Well, speaking of that, there's a recent video of a guy at a gas station. I don't know what the context is.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that as well. He covered himself in gasoline, set himself on fire.
Well, do you know what the context of that was?
Nah, he looked like he was probably suffering from some kind of mental episode. If I had to. Either that or he was on drugs. But
yeah, because he did it. Then he had instant regret afterwards.
He took it from somebody else. Yeah. He went up and took it out of their car while they were pumping gas and pumped it on himself. And then as soon as he started trying to light himself, the guy was like, oh, whatever, and bolted, like I'm out of here. And yeah, so it was probably some kind of a mental.
And what was kind of funny about that video? After the guy left, he's on fire. He walks away on fire and panicking, and people are trying to help put it out.
People are all just putting it,
And then the guy went back to pumping his gas like nothing happened.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I would have definitely hit. I'm always tempted to hit the oh my god foam button at the gas station.
Right.
That's an opportunity. That's like a time to hit it.
Yeah. Yeah,
a guy is on fire running around in the middle of the gas pumps. Like, take your shot. Now's your chance. You get to hit the foam button. And if you don't know what I'm referencing, at every gas station, they have this big, like a fire alarm where you can lift up a canister and hit this giant button and it drops foam over all the pumps in case there's a fire.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if you just go and push that button, I can't imagine that there's not going to be some kind of consequences.
I wonder if he had to pay for that guy's gas that he dumped on himself.
He didn't look like he bumped that much, so I would have. You'd be a pretty petty. You'd be a pretty petty guy if you went and were trying to get like the 65 cents from him for the gasoline.
Oh, that's funny.
Which these days it'd be more just like I don't have those coins. I just. Is there a coin shortage up in your part of the world, or is that
we haven't heard about it?
A uniquely American thing.
You guys are very unique in so many ways. Bless your guys' hearts down there. Good luck down there, guys. Good luck. We're wishing you all the best.
It is what it is. The only people who use cash down here on the reg are usually drug dealers. I think that's kind of the.
There you go. So the way it goes. They're still thriving. I hope they're doing well.
There's nothing else to do.
That's true.
But drugs. So.
So before we close here, Zip, do you want to go ahead and, since you're the CEO and the overlord of Gamma Gator Productions, why don't you plug the network, plug the shows, and what we're all part of?
Technically, I'm the managing director.
Oh, okay.
And Bob is the creative director because we had to put something on the paper.
Okay.
But no, yeah, I guess CEO would be a good. I didn't want the title. I could have picked because when you file the paperwork for that kind of stuff, which we did more just for the copyright stuff. You have to give yourself a title. So I didn't want CEO because it made it sound like more important than it is. But anyway, Gamma Gator Productions is a production studio. It also has a podcast network in which my show and Ryan's show, the one you're listening to right now, are a part of. We've got the No Redeeming Qualities podcast show. It's a comedy show. You got the Worst of the Best, which you're listening to right now. There's Colt 45. It's a movie podcast. We've got State Your Take. It's more of a social issues, African-American commentary kind of podcast.
Wait, they're black? I'm out of the network.
Yeah.
I'm gone. You didn't tell me this.
If you don't like black people, and then there's also One Big Toilet. It's our politics show. But yeah, if you're not a fan of African-Americans, Gamma Gators, probably not the network for you because...
We have two podcasts.
And then actually there's a 6th show coming down the pipeline right now that it's a sports show by an old friend of mine who's like an actual sports writer. He was a sports editor for a small newspaper, and he was a beat writer for the Seattle Seahawks. And now he's got a show, and I'm currently courting him, trying to bring him onto the Gamma Gator. He's also African American, so
it's half and half now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, it was very crazy. We just looked up and we were like, oh wow, we have a lot of minority representation in the network. And right now we're trying to find a lady podcast because we need some kind of a lady presence.
And I think that's a great idea. And I'm actually I feel bad because I don't listen. I do listen to one podcast where it's 2 female hosts. I do, but they're pretty successful podcasts, and and about haunted stories and stuff, and they're great, but I hate to say that they don't fit what we're doing necessarily.
No, and there's a couple other podcasters, not even necessarily female podcasts, that I think the same thing, where I'm kind of like friends with them and I mesh well with them, but I just don't think that they would mesh well with everybody else.
Right, that's fair.
And so we're kind of doing this little bit of an expansion kick, and then we're gonna just roll with what we have. The idea is that we have like a diversity of shows, like variety of different shows. It's not all just kind of the same thing, but we also do original productions. So we do audio dramas. We've Wheels of Justice, which is a mystery. It's a parody of true crime. And then we've got Beer Run, which is a sci-fi audio drama. I'm working on the website, gammagator.com. You can go there now, but it just takes you to nrqpodcast.com, which is where you can find me. We're happy to have Ryan on. And so the Stallone show has its own network now, right?
Yeah.
There's the Stallone network.
The Stallone Podcast Network, yeah.
And I want to have every Stallone podcaster on an episode of NRQ. That is something on my radar. I just want all these Stallone people, and then to see if we could talk about Stallone and then what I want to do is see if we could not talk about Stallone at all. Like I could not ever give them a chance to actually talk about Stallone.
I'm sure we'd be happy to take a break. I'm always happy. That's why I actually started.
Is that why you started Worst of the Best?
Yeah,
so you can get away from Stallone.
And not to get away, but just to have, because I enjoy podcasting, but it's a way for me to talk about different things. Like I enjoy podcasting, but it's like if you enjoy fishing, you want to try catching other fish in the same one in the same spot all the time. That's all. So
and that was the other thing I was going for with Gamma Gator, is that we have like this cast of shows now that have a specific topic. So you, as the content creator, if you had a sports topic you wanted to talk about, well, you don't feel this kind of awkwardness to shoehorn it into your own show. You can just go do it on a different show.
Exactly.
So if we could just get the economy to not suck, that could really help to go back to work so they can commute and listen.
I know.
Because podcast numbers are down like pretty much
everywhere, across the board.
Everywhere. Even with big studios, it's just people just aren't going anywhere. I mean, and I feel bad because like I have a huge backlog of podcasts that I just don't really leave the house very much anymore,
No, I've noticed that too. All right. Well, this has been an absolute joy as always. I'm sure we'll have you on again there, Zip.
Yeah.
Don't die on me.
Sorry, I was stretching.
No, I thought you were lighting yourself on fire. I thought you were lighting yourself on fire.
Now I'm going to go eat a bunch of bananas and have a big old glass of Sprite.
Yeah, I'm going to have Sprite, bananas, cinnamon, and...
Wash it down with some cinnamon and a condom. Anyway,
all right,
it's been good. I forgot I'm signing off of the show.
I'll sign off.
Zoom call. Okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll see you around, and I was going to hang up. But thanks for having me on. You can check me out at nrqpodcast.com or anywhere else you can find the No Redeeming Qualities podcast. So thanks for having me on, and we'll do this again next time.
And I forgot to do my sign off on one of my previous episodes, so let me do it now. Remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud, and we're here to help you find it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. All right, thanks, brother.
Oh, no problem. You have a good one.
You too. It was good talking.
Oh, yeah, always.
Cheers.
Gamma Gator Productions.